All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday night stream. I'm Ravnos, the usual host for Gehenna Gaming's stream nights, and tonight we have a very special event. We're going to be running our first live actual play. This is going to be a one-shot with our good friend, the Shred Pirate Roberts, and I'm going to switch over to the right camera mode here. There we go. All right, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. So I'm very excited for this. Looking forward to diving into the Gehenna Gaming one-shot Fatal Choices, which everyone can see the beautiful cover up on my screen here. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of the info on the structure of tonight's stream before we dive right in. I'm going to give you the basic information on what Fatal Choices is, and then we will get a synopsis of the character that Shred Pirate Roberts here is going to be playing this evening, and then we'll go through the character creation process, and then finally we will dive into the scenario. We're hoping that we will have time to answer some of your questions when we're done, but other than that, we're going to jump right in. So Fatal Choices is a specially designed one-on-one scenario specifically built to introduce players who are unfamiliar with Vampire the Masquerade and the World of Darkness to both the setting and system. It introduces many of the themes of Vampire, such as personal and political horror, as well as many of the things that make up kindred on life, betrayal, earning others' trusts, and discovering things that aren't quite what they seem when you transition from being a mortal to a kindred. It is also designed to allow new storytellers to learn how to run a Vampire the Masquerade chronicle through this one shot. So we are going to jump over to character creation now. Just so you know, the character was fleshed out a little bit ahead of time. We had a little bit of a conversation about it so that we could streamline this. So don't be surprised if character creation goes very quickly, and then when you jump into your own chronicles, it takes like 3 times longer, because this will be much faster than usual character creation process. So yeah, why don't you give us a summary of your character for this evening?
Okay, great. Well, the character I came up with for this chronicle, his name is Kendall Bergman. Kendall is 28 years old. He's about 5'9". He's got shaggy brown hair and an unkempt beard. He's got hazel eyes, and his eyes seem misty all the time. He's got a tattoo of a very bad-looking panther on his left forearm and a lighthouse on his right bicep. He has scars where he had gauge holes before in his ears. Kendall's a former med student, but he's currently an orderly at a rehab facility in the city. He lives near the university in a city with his roommate Virgil. He's not exactly close with his parents, Kevin and Maud, but he is close with his sister Phoebe currently. He was a med student for 6 years until he had a bad breakup with his boyfriend Leaf, which led him to alcohol abuse, and he spiraled. He had a downward spiral due to that. Even though he knew it in his head, it wasn't smart, but he didn't care. You sometimes have to listen to the heart, even though the head's telling you something else. Kendall comes from a family of alcoholics, and he figured he would be one in due time, but not as quickly as he did. After finding himself in days of a drunken stupor and sleeping in and skipping class, he dropped out of school and moved back home with his parents, which caused a lot of tension with them. But it caused him to grow closer with his sister, who convinced him to find treatment, go to AA, and due to that, she and her being a lighthouse in his life, he's been sober for 5 years after going and meeting his sponsor, Liza. He's found a job at the rehab facility where he's an orderly. And after getting his career and life goals together and in sight, he's now ready to start making moves to go back to med school and even start dating, maybe.
Fantastic. All right, so why don't we jump into the traditional character creation process here? Obviously, you fleshed out a lot of these details ahead of time, but we're not going to show the character sheet on stream. We're going to let that kind of live off the screen. We're also not going to be showing our dice rolls. Apologies in case anyone was excited for that, but we will discuss them as needed. So why don't we just start with your attributes? What is Kendall's best attribute for?
Well, I'd probably say his best attribute starting at 4 is probably going to be probably composure.
Nice.
Composure. He even though he's been through a rough time, he can keep himself together. Especially in social situations. So I'm definitely gonna drop 4 into composure.
Nice. I like that. And then what are your secondary attributes? The 3 that you're going to put 3 dots in.
Those 3 will be intelligence. That will be dexterity, and then resolve.
Nice. Okay. I'm actually going to ask you a question then. With the kind of fall and then climb back out of alcoholism, is that kind of like he's built his resolve more recently?
That's definitely that is a resolve that with 5 years, which each year that he's passed, where he's gotten his chip of how many days sober he's been. It's kind of added to his resolve and shown that it could be possible for somebody to maintain sobriety like that. So that's kind of what I was thinking. At first, I was thinking I might want to give that his weakest, but I think that's going to be a different attribute for a reason, for some reasons.
Right. Yeah, because one would typically associate a lower resolve with an addict, but since he is recovering and he is for 5 years, I think that actually does fit really well.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Then tertiary attributes, the 4 that you're going to put 2 dots in.
Okay, well that is going to be strength, definitely. His strength has waned in his time. His dexterity's up, but that's kind of due to him running more. Which is something that I've noticed a lot in friends and family that I've gone through recovery, and also in my own recovery, I run more just to distract myself. But strength, not so much.
Okay.
Stamina, I'm gonna have it's where the alcoholism weared on him, so it's gonna be 2 dots in that. Manipulation, he's not a very manipulative person. He is a very straightforward, honest person.
Okay.
So there's those, and then.
He'll make a great kindred.
Yeah. And then I'm going to put wits with 2 dots.
Okay. And then what is his worst attribute?
Charisma. The years of trying to survive through alcoholism and keep up the addiction, but also trying to live his life has weared on him. So there's definitely bags under his eyes, and there's definitely he carries it with him. That's why I gave him constantly misty looking eyes. That's something that I've noticed in people in my own life, is that they constantly look like they're on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
Which they might not be, but it's kind of a side effect of that. So he kind of keeps his emotions on his sleeve as well. So he's not very charismatic, and he's also socially awkward.
Great, fantastic, cool. And then just make sure you note down that your health is stamina +3, and your willpower is your resolve plus your composure.
Yep.
So that would make, just to make sure I have it right, your health would be 5 then.
Yep, 5.
And your resolve plus your composure is actually going to be 7. Nice. That's a pretty high willpower.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. All right, then we will jump to skill selection. So the skill selection process we're going to use for tonight is the full backstory, life story skill process. So let's start with profession. What is his actual profession? Because there's kind of 2 there in the backstory to a degree.
Yeah. So I think even though he is an orderly currently, he's still a med student.
Okay.
First and foremost. So that is definitely going to be the forefront.
Okay. So med student, that profession. So profession's going to give you 2 skills with 3 dots in them, and 2 with 2 dots in them, and then you get to choose a specialty to assign to one of those related to your profession.
Got it. Okay. 2 for 3 and 2 for 2.
Yep.
We're gonna go with medicine for 3.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And then we are going to go for, let's see here. We go for academics for 3.
Okay.
And
And academics is going to give you a free specialty as well.
Excellent. Okay. And then for the 2, we're gonna go for let's see here. Insight.
Okay.
And then awareness.
Nice. Okay, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then just pick a specialty for academics and a specialty for medicine.
Okie dokie.
We won't dive too much into exactly what that means, but I think things like research and then different schools of academic thought, so like philosophy, religious studies, political science, all apply to academics. And then for medicine, it can be biochem, it could be surgery, it could be first aid, whatever makes the most sense.
I think for him, since he had gone 6 years, he had already probably picked his specification in med school. So probably surgeon.
Cool.
That's what he was going for. And then, so surgery. And then academics, I'm going to go with philosophy. He's kind of a philosophic kind of guy.
Nice. I like it. That's what I went to school for.
Nice. Very nice.
Okay, so and then the next part is picking skills based off of major life events that shaped the person you are today. So typically you would pick 1 or 2 life events. Things like, did you serve a tour in Iraq? Did you go through an abusive relationship, win the lottery, have kids, get mugged? And then you pick 1 skill at 3 dots and another one at 2 dots.
Okay. So I'm thinking major one is his addiction and his recovery from that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with survival. And you said how many dots is that for
that? 3 or 2.
Okay.
Depending on which one you feel is more important.
Yeah, we're gonna go with 3 for that.
Okay.
And then I guess another would just be his typical, just like part of his recovery. He really spent more time like running, and that's where he found most of his solace. So I'm going to put athletics at 2.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
So
awesome. Okay. Next is leisure skills. Just what are the things what are his hobbies? You get to pick 3, and you get 1 dot in each of them.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna say he's very much a photographer and a reader.
Okay.
But for that, for photography, it's going to be stealth because he likes to do still life.
Nice.
So 1 dot in stealth.
Okay.
Just being able to sneak up and kind of be on the fringe of things.
Yep.
With that, technology goes hand in hand as well.
Yep.
And then we're going to go craft. I guess photography. Well, yeah, craft.
Yep. Photography would fall under craft. So craft is one of the ones where when you put a dot in it, you automatically get a specialty in it, much like academics. Right. So go ahead and put photography down. That makes sense.
Excellent.
Just so everyone knows, there are 4 skills. When you put dots in them, you immediately get a specialty. There are academics, science, craft, and performance. Okay, so now there's you have an option. You can either choose to allot the rest of your skill points as a specialist, which means you really honed your focus in one area beyond those things that you've already assigned, or as a generalist, which means you can spread those points out or more. You actually get a lot more points to spend because you just kind of dabbled in different things.
Okay, I think we're going to go for a specialist.
Okay, so take 1 skill and put 4 dots in it.
Whew, okay. Big time.
You also have the option to move your profession specialty to this skill if you want to say that one was more important to him than what he was like going to school for.
Okay, let's see. Going to put that in. Let's go with persuasion. He's not very charismatic, but he's learned to talk his way out of situations.
That makes sense, especially working in like a rehab center. Very much the insight would play a role in that as well. So I like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to talk about convictions. This is really setting up the belief system for your character. What are the things that he particularly cares about, feels very strongly about? A conviction are your core values, a set of moral principles that fortify your actions against the degeneration of the beast once you become a kindred. So we typically would pick 1 to 3 convictions as starting character. I always encourage people to take 2 at a minimum. One tends to feel a little shallow at times, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go with 2. Um, one would be a willingness to rely on others. I think that's something that a lot of people they go to self-reliance, but he's learned that it's okay to rely on others. He learned that from his sister, where he was like, "I'm going to handle things myself," and then things just kept on getting worse for him. So it's a willingness to rely on others.
I like it. Okay. And what's the second one?
And the second one would be a that's a good question. Let's gonna go with a doesn't harm. That's interesting. Won't harm children.
Okay.
Doesn't harm children.
So
Yeah.
never harm children and always put your faith in others, sort of
Yeah.
thing. Okay. And then the next thing is think about the people who mean the most to him, and
Mm-hmm.
who would exemplify those convictions, and then you will assign a touchstone for each conviction. Touchstones are, according to the rulebook, always people. I like to broaden that a little bit and allow beloved pets, animals, and also concepts. The idea of like, maybe it's not a specific police officer who inspires a conviction for a character, but it's just the idea of police. So uniformed police officers are that touchstone. It broadens it out a little bit. So what would a touchstone for each of those convictions be for Kendall?
I think willingness to rely on others would be Phoebe, his
Okay.
sister.
Yep.
That she's really the one who taught him that.
Great.
And I think never harm children. That would be Liza, his sponsor. A lot of the times, Liza had kids with her. She has her own children, but they would be around sometimes when he would meet with her,
Mhm.
and when they would act up and stuff like that, she would never harm them, touch them, or anything like that. She talked to them. She got them to behave by talking to them, having a dialogue with them.
Nice. I like it. Okay. All right. So for the last pieces of your character's kind of belief structure, we're going to talk about ambition.
All right.
Ambition is like what is Kendall's greatest aspiration in life?
That is going to just be a successful surgeon. That's his greatest ambition. That's like to have to succeeded to have gotten
Okay.
over everything that was holding him back and become a successful
I'm
surgeon.
going to ask a leading question to kind of push it a little bit further and a little bit deeper than that. Why does he want to be a successful surgeon?
I think to prove to his parents that he was very like even in those times when he was like he moved back home, he was living at home and like he was dealing with the addiction, and they were probably disappointed in him that it wasn't all a waste. It was actually helping him. It was actually building him to be a better person instead of holding him and his family back.
So his ambition is really proving to his parents and kind of himself that he's not a burden and he can make something great of himself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the physical manifestation of that is to become a surgeon.
Yes.
I like it. Okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. So, as the rulebook says, and then some monster kills you. What clan embraces Kendall?
So there's a few clans that I've always been very much into. Those being Toreador and Gangrel. Those are two that have always been my favorite. Those are two that I always look to play.
Nice.
But there's one that really stuck out to me. That's one that I've never played, and it's one that I see played. I wouldn't say wrong, but played more as a caricature.
Mm-hmm.
That I really want to try to take a stab at and really show a different side of them, and that's Malkavian. Malkavian, I think
Nice.
they have a lot of gumption, and they have a huge part in the lore itself.
Yeah, absolutely. They're one of my favorite clans, so I like that
Yeah.
choice. Awesome. Okay, Malkavian. So now why don't we go ahead? So you're going to start at Blood Potency 1. Your character is going to be a fledgling.
Okay.
Very, very recently embraced. It's so much so that we're actually going to pick choosing a predator type.
All right.
So what we'll cover now, why don't we select your disciplines? So Malkavians get, if I remember correctly, off the top of my head, Auspex, Obfuscate, and Dominate.
Yeah.
Aha! I wanted to say Dementation.
Dementation, it is swapped back and forth. I was looking into it, and Dementation, I feel like every version, every edition, it switches back and forth.
Yep. So why don't you pick one of those and put 2 dots in it, and then put 1 dot in the other one. One of them being much stronger within Kendall.
I'm going to go with Auspex.
Okay.
For 2.
Okay.
With his photography and just him working in the rehab facility, it's given him a way to very much so read people.
Okay.
And then for his 1 dot, I'm going to go with Obfuscate because he's not really a domineering kind of person. He's more of a fringe kind of person.
I like that. Okay, cool. I like it. And then we'll talk about advantages. So advantages, you get 7 points to spend since we're skipping predator type, you get 7 points to spend in advantages, and then you pick 2 flaws. I think we can do this quickly since this is a one-shot. They're not going to come up in too much detail. But why don't we just quickly review what the advantages are and what you feel like fits best.
Perfect.
So flipping over to the quick selection guide and the summary here. Advantages would be, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. So advantages are allies, contacts, fame, haven, herd, influence, lore sheets, which we are going to ignore, mask, mala, resources, retainers, and status. So status, you won't have any.
Yeah.
Mala, you also will not have at this point. Nor will you have herd. So it's really allies, which are mortal associates, usually friends and family, which would make sense. Contacts, people you know who you can get information or buy things from. Influence would be political power. Doesn't sound like you'd have much of that. Haven is a safe place to sleep during the day as a kindred. So you can have a home via resources, but haven would be something that's fortified, something that you feel safe in as a kindred, which you probably wouldn't quite have yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like you probably are kind of pigeonholed a little bit in allies, contacts, and resources here.
Very much so.
Are you leaning one way or another?
I'm thinking more for a couple in resources, and then the rest in contacts, maybe allies.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, but like a couple dots in resources.
Okay. It's great. So yeah, why don't and then so you get 7 to spend. So why don't you assign what you feel is adequate, and then we can kind of quickly do merits if they apply. There might be a few that would make sense.
Yeah. Okay, here, let's start with the allies. I was thinking more so on the way of allies. Phoebe fits pretty well. She's from a backstory. She's a person that she trusts. So I think allies would definitely fit with that.
Cool. I like it.
I'm gonna go with 3 dots in that.
Okay.
And then contacts 2. I think contacts are like probably people that he's helped in the rehab facility.
Okay.
that he's kept in touch with afterwards after they've left treatment, whether on good terms or bad terms. More so on good terms, but probably in bad terms as well.
Okay.
And we'll put 2 dots in that. And then resources, he's really built himself back up, especially by kicking the addiction. It's something that I've noticed. Once you quit drinking, you have a lot more money. Yeah.
Oh yes,
so
I'm
gonna put the remaining 2 dots into resources.
Nice. I like it. Okay, so that's 2, 2, and 2.
Yep.
Or was that okay? So
3, 2, 2.
3, 2, 2. So that's everything. And then we can just wheel. You know what? I think we probably have the flaws ironed out easily. One of the flaws you can choose is substance abuse.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's a 2-point flaw called hopeless addiction, which probably not quite the right one. That would be when you need to feed from someone who has your drug of choice in their system. Addiction would be a weaker version of that, but then there's also a high functioning addict. That's a merit. You might want to go with one of those two, or maybe not.
Yeah, I'm thinking addiction, probably. Maybe not hopeless addiction, but
Okay.
addiction.
So that gives you a -1 die from all pools when the last person you fed from was not on your drug, unless you are rolling to immediately obtain your drug of choice.
Got it.
So that's 1 point, and then you need to take another one. Archaic probably doesn't fit. There's the blood bond flaws, long bond, bond junkie. There are feeding flaws. Prey exclusion would certainly fit in this instance. If you wanted to take prey exclusion children.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do. I was either looking at bond junkie or prey exclusion, but I think prey exclusion fits a little bit better, especially since it's a part of my my convictions and touchstones.
Like it. Awesome.
Let's see. Yep. Prey exclusion. And then addict.
Great. Okay, so just keep track. Basically, you'll be at a -1 die pool whenever you feed, and it's not from someone who has been drinking.
Excellent.
All right, so just quickly reviewing the character creation process here. I think we should be all set. Last piece, desires. So desires are a short-term goal, something it can support your ambition or not, but it would be something he's trying to do in the immediate future.
Yeah. Let's see. That is to I think to maintain a semblance of normal. That's his most immediate thing on his life. He spent his time getting his career in order and getting like a place to live, even if it's with a roommate. But I think now it's like I stated in the character biography, he's ready to get out there. He's ready to get back to med school, and he's ready to get back in the dating field. Okay. So I think find a semblance of normal. Yeah.
I like it. Awesome. All right, and then since you are playing a fledgling, you don't get any starting XP. We're done.
Excellent.
All right. So, Fatal Choices, as I explained earlier, is a one-on-one scenario designed to introduce players to the world of darkness. So, now that we just went through that lovely character creation process, we're going to roll it back just a few steps, and the scenario begins, and you are mortal.
Yep.
So you will be beginning the scenario as a mortal who is following your own ambitions and desires. You are not yet embraced into a clan, and our story begins when you are at home, hanging out with your roommate, chatting, probably close to when you'd be getting ready to go to bed because you have to go to work the next day. Oops. Skype is being a jerk. 1 second. Sorry about that. That's loud. Sorry, everyone. Wah, wah.
All right.
I lost you.
Excellent. Oh, sorry.
Technology issues. Gotta love it. Hold on 1 second. There we go.
Perfect. All right.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Is on my end. Oh, cats get.
Yup. All right. Just 1 second. I need to. All right. We should be good now.
All right. Perfect. Awesome.
There we go. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. Technical difficulties.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. So, as I said, we are starting this as Immortal. You are home with your roommate, probably towards the end of the evening, getting ready to go to sleep, hanging out, and you, as we discussed as part of your backstory, maybe starting to get back into the dating game a little bit, and you are on Tinder, checking out some profiles, and you see someone surprises you. You've been on the app for a while and haven't encountered anyone particularly interesting, and you see an absolutely beautiful woman who recently moved to your area. Do you swipe right?
Of course.
Fantastic. All right. So you swipe right, and do you show your roommate?
I do. Very much so. Getting very excited, almost too excited, kind of giddy. I show for.
Oh damn. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's hot. Good luck.
Yeah.
He says note of sarcasm in his voice, like ha ha ha, yeah, good luck. But yeah, it's not entirely being-hearted. Nope. Technical difficulties. Apologies again. We'll have Shred Pirate back in a minute. Yeah, I know, right? Technical difficulties are normal. Yeah, right? Yeah, I'm gonna blame you, Ritalin. We'll give him a minute to come back. There we go. Hey, welcome back.
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you. Yeah, sorry. I'm trying to dial back to you. Sorry, folks. Yeah, the problem is that actually, let's try sorry, folks. Just give me 1 minute. Let's try the Discord thing again, real quick here. Oops. I have to dial you on Skype. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah.
For some reason, when you call me, it only shows up on my phone, not on the app. All right, can you hear me? Yeah, AOL Instant Messenger, absolutely. That's all right. Give me 1 second, folks. Sorry about this. Technical difficulties. All right.
Let's work.
See if this works. All right, everyone. Sorry about that. We are back. We are using Discord now instead.
That is Skype. Yes.
Just gonna drop this down here. Yeah, that'll almost work. All right. Oh,
Excellent.
okay. So,
Sweet.
picking up where we left off. Okay, so you swipe right on your Tinder date. They laugh. Your roommate laughs, makes fun of you a little bit, and you head to bed. You have work the next morning. It's going to be a busy day, and you've got a lot to do. So, you head to bed. You actually get a good night's sleep. Very restful. And then head to work the next morning. While you're at work, the morning's fairly uneventful, but when you're hanging out in the break room, about halfway through the day, you're talking with one of your coworkers. Now, this coworker tends to brag a lot about his own dating exploits, and he starts telling you, he's like, "Oh man, hey, check this out. So we have a new manager starting. She's supposed to be in later today, dude. She is."
Okay. Well, first of all, I don't have to tell you that manager relationships don't really work out. It's kind of gets rules about that, and also I don't know about you, but most of the people around this place don't tend to look the best. It's not really a honey pot for attractive people, a rehab.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it would be worse if it was like one of the patients. But she's a manager. She's not even nursing staff. So like, we have a lot of turnover here. So I can wait.
You could. I mean, I guess it's technically not interested people. I mean, I guess nobody would have to make a claim about it. Just depending on who you are.
Yeah. So this conversation is actually interrupted by a woman walking in the room, and you see your coworker get very quiet behind you, in front of you, and looking over your shoulder. But when you glance around, you see a beautiful woman who looks oddly familiar. Could perhaps, in fact, be the woman you swiped right on Tinder. And
Kendall kind of grips his water bottle very tight, makes quick eye contact, and then just turns and like looks his coworker's like his ear, like he's kind of making eye contact, but not really, not pretending like he's.
Nice. So when in the brief moment of eye contact that you make with this woman, you do see this flash of recognition on her face. She walks over and she introduces herself to both of you. She says, "Hey, my name is Melanie. I'm new here. I'm starting over. I'm gonna be overseeing some of the clerical work, the secretary staff, intake, that sort of stuff. Probably working directly with patient families, things like that. More on the management side, though."
Kendall turns, looks at her, and like recovers a little bit and stands up, almost knocking over the chair. He goes, Melanie, was it? Melanie, yeah. Kendall, just orderly, extends his hand out and then realizes kind of sweaty and rubs it on his. And he goes, yeah, Kendall Bergman, or clerical, was it? Clerical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
She doesn't seem taken aback by your awkwardness, but she does look kind of amused. She goes through perfunctory introductions with your coworker, who is smoother than you, but not exactly Romeo. And then he actually excuses himself, and basically the second he walks out of the room, she spins back to you, and she was like, "Okay, I swear to God, did you send me a message on Tinder last night?"
I kind of looking around, making sure nobody's overhearing.
The room is empty.
It's empty. He goes. He kind of grips the chair a little bit and goes, yeah, I did. Didn't realize when it said on your profile that you were into clerical work that it was at rehab facilities."
She just shakes her head. She's like, "And when you said you were a med student, I assumed you were a student."
People fluff their profiles all the time, all right? I am technically a student. I might out at some point, but I have plans to go back. It's perfectly normal. People.
This is awkward.
It is very awkward. I don't seem to notice a normal way out of here. I mean, there's the way to my job, but there's I've got work to do. It was nice meeting you. My water bottle. I've got to get my water bottle. I kind of move past her a little bit, grab my water bottle, and I go, I'll be seeing you around.
She puts her hand on your arm and stops you, and she's like, "Do you want to get dinner?"
Dinner? Yeah, I ate dinner. That's something I could potentially get it with you. Are you saying dinner?
Yeah, we could talk. Like maybe try this. Start this as like a normal thing, not like super awkward thing that it just be that.
Yeah. Sorry. We can do that definitely. I'm off later tonight. I'll
You know what?
let me give you my number.
Yeah. Why don't you give me your number? I have some training and some of all that stuff to do, but I'll give you a call when I get off work.
Good. Yeah, that's normal people doing normal things. He backs up out of the room, almost bumps into the wall beside the door, and he goes, Melanie, nice meeting you. Welcome to the office. Not office. Okay, bye. And then he like turns.
Nice. Smooth. All right. So she gives you her number, and then the rest of your day goes by very quickly. There's nothing unusual happens, nothing out of the ordinary, and you are able to very quickly end your day and move on. When you get home, more or less a few minutes later, your phone rings.
Quickly kind of like pick it up, almost drop it, and then answer. Berkman, Kendall Berkman. Hello.
Hey, it's Melanie. Um, you want to go get that dinner?
Dinner, yeah, yeah, Melanie, of course. Yeah, I didn't forget. I wouldn't do that. That's not a thing that. Yeah, I'm all into dinner. Dinner sounds good.
Okay.
How about eat, eat dinner at home? So if you've got a place in mind,
But
that would be
how,
good.
how about this? I live right near center. Um, I can just pick you. I can call an Uber and then pick you up on the way. I'm new here, so I don't know a lot of places, but I can find somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. There's plenty of places. I live university, so there's plenty of places around here. I'll send you my address.
Okay, great. All right, I'll let you know when I'm on my way.
Perfect.
And
Uh,
yes, so um, about 15 minutes go by, you get a text which has like an ETA. It's got that little thing that you can send directly from or cab, where it just says like the ride will be there in 8 minutes. And pretty much 8 minutes later, a yellow cab pulls up out front.
Kendall has put on normal clothes, not his scrubs.
Okay.
So normal clothes for him, like 2005 skateboarder. But
Nice.
instead of a shirt, he has just put on a bow and tried to keep his hair parted, some semblance of neat.
Nice. Nice. Okay. All right. So you get ready. And in the meantime, the cab shows up. You hear a beep, and you head out. Um, she's waiting in the car for you.
All right. Get in, fumbles with the handle a little bit, with like the unlocking and locking a little bit, but then and kind of sits down and finally breathes a little bit as he settles into like the seat of the hi. Yeah, the guy found the place all right.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. It was fine. Why don't you take a second and breathe? You seem nervous.
Oh yeah, no, not nervous. Nervous doesn't. Yeah, a little bit nervous. A little bit. Nervous. I haven't I haven't done this a lot in a while.
I no offense, but I can tell.
None taken.
So she makes small talk with you for a little bit. It's taking you a little bit to really like kind of relax. Why don't you give me a resolve and composure check, which would be a willpower check?
Okie dokie. So that resolve and composure, that's willpower. Is that without hunger?
Yeah. Well, you don't have any hunger yet. You're human, so.
I'm human, so that makes sense. All right. Ooh, okay. Okay. All right. 1, 3, 4. So that's 2.
Nice.
Look at chart here. 2 10s, 2 6, and then I've got the Modiphius Entertainment. So it's
Okay.
all the onks and the fangs.
Yep.
But yeah.
Wow.
So
Nice. Okay.
that's yeah.
So you
So
surprise yourself, and you actually relax very quickly. You kind of are able to engage in the small talk, really jump into the conversation. Um, The place that she picked is actually a little bit of a drive away, so you have some time to talk in the car on the way there. As you're driving,
So, yeah.
as you're riding, rather, the cab pulls up to a red light at kind of a somewhat deserted street, and you, being a little bit more familiar with the area, realize you're not going the direction that she said that the restaurant that she had picked was. As that realization dawns on you, you hear a click as the rear doors to the cab lock, and the front passenger side door opens, and a man wearing kind of a black button-down shirt, black pants, slips in, immediately turns, slides the slider divider between the front and the back of the cab open, and points a taser at your date and pulls the trigger. The two prongs shoot out, hit her in the chest, and immediately electrifies her, jolting her for a minute before she falls unconscious. You have a moment to react.
Immediately just saying,
Oh no. And we lost him again.
"Oh no! I've still got bars over here. 1 second, let me see."
No, I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So what do you say?
Say, what the fuck kind of Uber is this, man? And then go for the door, trying to open it up, trying to get like a lock on, like a hand on the lock.
He, as you're doing that, he pulls it looks like a small aerosol canister out, and he points it at you, and he sprays you with something. It doesn't have a strong odor, but a few moments later, you fall unconscious.
Got it. Got it. Perfect.
So, you awaken. Slowly. Your head is pounding. Whatever he hit you with is causing a major headache, and you're cold. As you start to come to, you realize that you're not completely naked, but you're stripped down to your underwear, and you feel like cold metal against your skin. Your medical background lets you immediately know it's some sort of gurney.
Got it.
As you continue waking up, you can feel yourself restrained, and you can feel a sharp pinching in each of your forearms.
Got it. Immediately trying to move my arms up, trying to touch my head. Kind of, I figured there'd be a headache of some sort.
When you start to move, you can't move your arms. Whatever's you're strapped down to this gurney, and as you open your eyes, bright piercing light blinds you for a second. You immediately notice there's a silhouette. The light, you can't make out their features with the light shining in your face, but there's someone leaning over you. They appear to be looking at your arm, and you start hearing medical machinery. You hear a machine beeping rhythmically to you recognize it as a heart rate monitor, and you hear another machine. You hear like a small motor start to whir, and as you do, you feel pressure start building up in your left arm.
Hey, fellas! Look, I don't know what happened. I don't know how we got here, but I don't need any medical attention. All right? Did anybody see where the lady that was with me, with the woman, what happened? She got tased.
No one responds to you. The person leaning over you ignores you completely, and as your eyes adjust to the sudden bright light, you're able to look around a little bit more. Why don't you give me a wits and awareness check?
What's an awareness? Got it. All right. Let's see. What's an awareness? Okay, that's gonna be 4 dice all told. That is 1 success.
Nice. Okay. It takes you a little while, but you start to see other figures in the room. You see people actually also equally confined and restrained to gurneys that are turned upright. On the far wall, there's actually several of those people, and they're all blindfolded and gagged. In addition to that, you can twist your head around a little bit. There's a strap going over your forehead, kind of holding you down, but you can make out some machinery to your left and right, and 2 more tables to your left and right. You can't tell if anyone is strapped to them, but you think they are. Across the room, you actually see Melanie.
Got it.
On one of the upright gurneys. She appears to be unconscious. You see another person who is awake. He is smaller. He's a smaller guy. He looks dirty. Maybe he was homeless. You're not sure. You may have actually seen him before, you think. And then you see someone. You see someone who's just terrifying. You actually blink, do a double take. Just one of the most hideous, terrifying-looking people you've ever seen in your entire life.
Hey, this is all fun and everything. I don't know what kind of Saw simulator this is, but Halloween's not until next month. All right, fellas. So let's just let everybody go, and yeah, we'll just forget about this. Okay, just get everybody out of here. Okay.
You feel a sharp pinprick as something, a needle is put into one of your veins, and you get immediately flooded with a sense of calm. So it's some sort of sedative.
Okay, look, that wasn't necessary. I was playing along. Where are we? What's going on, man? Come on.
You see, as you are kind of still, you're still conscious, you're still cognizant and able. Your faculties are still you're still able to think properly, but you're definitely slower. You notice one of the guys, the person who's kind of moving around the room is still completely ignoring you, by the way.
Got it.
You see one of the guys who's restrained across the room start to twitch spasmodically and wake up. And as he does, you hear a deep growl come from his throat. Before he starts fighting against the restraints, and the person in the room glances up at him and walks over to an intercom and pushes the button, and you hear subject 213, checks a notepad, then continues, beginning to undergo cognitive relapse. Infrared shows an unexpected increase in muscle mass that previous specimens of type have not shown. Please remove him and send him in during the final phase.
So it definitely seems like it's some kind of experimentation, I'm guessing.
Yeah, everything screams medical experiments to you. Some sort of like Black Ops, CIA bunker type crazy shit.
I'm going to try to whisper a little bit to whoever's beside me. I can't see them. Melanie's across the room, though, right? And the guy that's
clearly unconscious.
People, clearly unconscious. Cool. Okay. Be like, hey, left or right? Is either one of you awake?
No response.
Okay. I'm going to try to slip out of my bonds. I'm going to try to do something.
Why don't you give me a dexterity and larceny check?
Oh, okay. Dexterity and larceny. All right. Yeah. So that's going to be 3 dice. And that is 2 successes.
Okay. You are actually able to start to get one hand free. You're kind of like, it hurts, but you're able to shift your shoulder down and back and start slipping one hand out. As you do so, though, the door opens. It sounds like one of those pneumatic sliding doors. It's like, whoosh, and 2 orderlies, as well as a priest and a woman wearing black fatigues follows him in. One of the orderlies immediately notices you and walks over and roughly grabs your hand and shoves it back into the restraints and tightens them down more.
Got it.
The other one starts wheeling the guy who woke up and was struggling out of the room.
Please, can somebody tell me what's going on? Look, I don't think I belong here. I don't have any medical conditions. I'm just a normal guy. All right. I'm in the medical field just like you. Okay, maybe I can just help you out with something. Talk or something. Just somebody talk to me.
As you are speaking, the priest actually walks over to you. And
Father, come on, Father.
He's an older gentleman, not going gray, but like just starting to go gray right at the temples. It's a weather creased face, and he kind of looks down at you for a minute, and then he kind of looks at your arms and at your face again. Then he just turns and walks away. Doesn't say a word.
Oh, come on. I know I didn't make it to confession, but please, you gotta help me. All right, you gotta help me. What happened to helping people, man? Come on. So look, I look over to some of the orderlies. I'm like, come on, fellas, come on. I'm just like you. I'm an orderly, just like you. Come on, just help me out of here, please. I don't belong here, and neither does she. Like, Melanie.
The priest turns to the orderly and says, "If he does not shut up, please gag him." And then he turns to his assistant and starts speaking too quietly for you to hear. After a moment, he pulls a small silver cross out of his pocket, and he walks over to one of the other people on the other side of the room. As soon as you see the cross, you feel something strange. It's almost like your body temperature rises. Something inside of you starts reacting. You don't really recognize it. It's almost like you just felt like you went from feeling fine to having the flu in a second. Just like the body temperature change. As he raises the cross up and he starts speaking in Latin, one of the men, who is the smaller man who I described earlier on the other side of the room, eyes snap open and he starts shrinking away. He's obviously afraid, and it almost looks like he's in pain. The priest begins to chant, and the guy, he doesn't scream in pain, but it's almost like a combination of rage and fear. And as he does, many of the others over on that side of the room begin to awaken. There are 3 people, including Melanie.
What the shit is going? Okay, what are you doing to him over there? Okay, what's in that thing? Is it?
The orderly walks over and shoves a bandage in your mouth and wraps some gauze around your face to keep you from talking, as instructed. So you hear the priest continues to chant, and all of the people on the other side of the room react in different ways. It's almost as if they are at one part in pain, one part afraid, and another part angry. Except for Melanie, you'd notice. Why don't you give me a wits and insight roll?
Wits and insight? Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Wits and insight. That is critical success.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so you immediately recognize Melanie is not reacting the same way as the others. It's almost like she's just kind of scared, but it's not the same level of like almost animalistic fear that the other ones are showing.
Okay.
You also actually notice now that the priest is wearing gloves, and they're the like thick kind of heat resistant gloves.
Got it.
And as he continues to chant, the woman who walked in with him starts asking really weird questions. Tell us where your havens are. Where is Elysium? Who controls the city? Does how many people are infected? Very unusual questions. They don't really make any sense to you at the time. And then as she's asking some of these, one of the men on the other side of the room starts straining very, very aggressively against his restraints, almost like the guy did earlier. And he starts growling. And at the same time, you can actually feel almost a sympathetic reaction in yourself. Something within you is urging you to react the same way. It's very, very subdued, but it's there. And in the commotion kind of being caused at this point, the orderly moves over to tighten the restraints on that guy, and it gives you notice that yours actually loosen a little. It's almost as if he was messing with them and you didn't notice, so you're able to get a better look around.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take like a time to just kind of see if there's like an exit and just kind of see if there's anybody else kind of waking up or that are conscious if I can.
Okay. Why don't you give me 2 rolls quickly? Give me a intelligence and medicine roll.
Intelligence and medicine roll?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's 3 plus 3. That's 6 dice. Very nice. I like that.
Nice.
All right, that is 4 successes.
4 success? Okay. So you'll recognize a lot of the medical machinery around you. And you can immediately recognize what's happening is that on your left side, there's an IV pumping something into your vein. And on the other side, they're drawing blood out. And when you look at the machine on the left, it looks like they're pumping blood into your veins. It looks like they're giving you a blood transfusion.
Whoa, okay. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay, so seeing that, I'm going to try to move around a little bit and see if I can, if I can loosen up these restraints anymore, or if I can try to jostle up some of the machinery a little bit to keep them from whatever they're doing on the other side, bothering those people. See if I can like knock something loose. It might set off an alarm or whatever.
Okay.
Try to get it, jostled up a little bit, just to put a little hitch in their step.
The other roll I want you to give me is stamina.
Stamina? Okay. Just straight up?
Straight stamina.
Whew, okay. That is no successes.
As you start to struggle, something inside you breaks. It's almost as if you had a lot of energy a second ago, and all of a sudden there's just no strength left in your body. Your head slumps back on the table. You really have to fight to move your arms, and you can feel yourself starting to slip and go black out. Your vision starts to blur a little bit. Everything starts to get a little dark and fuzzy. You feel weaker.
Yeah.
Taking breaths is very labored. It's almost as if your body is shutting down. And the last thing you notice before you start to slip under is the beeping of the heart rate monitor slowing.
I try to slow my breathing down a little bit, try to calm myself down, see if that can jostle up a little bit, more, just trying to hold on a little bit longer, trying to use whatever I can in my medical knowledge to try to prolong the inevitable.
It's a struggle. You're able to hold on for a few minutes longer, but your vision goes black. You're still conscious, but your vision goes black. The voices around you get quieter. It's hard to make them out. And then it almost seems like a few minutes go by, and you notice that you don't hear the heart rate monitor anymore. Still hear people talking, but you don't hear the beeping. And then you hear a voice say, "Oh, hey, he's gone. Is he? Check for a pulse. Yeah, no, he's gone. All right, record the time of death, and then watch the clock." A second later, you start to become more alert. Everything starts to all your senses kind of open up again. Everything starts to flood back in. It's a little disorienting first. Words hard.
Mm-hmm.
Words are hard.
Words are hard.
And you hear no pulse. Temperature is currently 56 degrees. The subject appears to have undergone the change at approximately 11:36. Took 2 minutes. When you open your eyes, it appears that the room has changed. The priest and the woman in fatigues are no longer in the room. They must have left at some point during that time period, and you didn't notice. And the man who had been struggling on the other side of the room was unconscious again. He also has a large burn on the side of his face. Bless you. The lights don't blind you this time. When you come to, the lights don't blind you. It's almost like you just adjust very quickly to everything in the room. And you see two men wearing black fatigues standing on the other side of the room, and you can tell there's someone standing directly behind you. And the person behind you you hear like scribbling as if he's writing something down on a notepad. And on the other side, the two men are talking. You hear, "All right, notify next of kin, give them the cover story, ask them, all the normal questions, run them through the routine. It should be fine. Move the body to storage, get him over there, make sure he's properly restrained. You see him look at whoever's standing behind you, and then we'll start on the next one." And as they're talking, you hear this voice in the back of your head. It's familiar and new at the same time. Come on, man. Come on, just break free. Get a drink. We just need one drink. It's all we need, and we can get out of here. Just do it already. Come on.
One. I'm thirsty. I'm very thirsty.
Just get one drink.
One drink. Okay. I don't. Is there a water tap? Is there something around?
That's not what I'm talking about. Come on.
What are you? Oh.
All right. Give me a wits and resolve roll.
Wits and resolve. Okay.
Add 2 hunger dice.
2 hunger dice. Cool. All right.
Specifically replace 2 with 2 hunger dice, but you know what I meant.
Specifically replace 2. Okay, yeah. Got it. Picking up what you're laying down.
Yep.
All right, that is 2 successes.
All right. You're able to focus, and you realize that the 2 guys on the other side of the room, once they finish that kind of conversation, they're not really paying attention to you now. The person behind you appears to be messing with some machinery. He's unhooking some stuff. You might be able to break free, slip free. Maybe you have an opportunity to you have some choices here. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try to, instead of trying to break free, and after repeated tries of trying to get somebody to talk to me and try to talk to somebody, I'm going to try to just slip free. Try to do what I was trying before the priest walked in.
Okay. Give me that Dex and Larceny roll again.
Cool.
And include your hunger dice.
All right. That is a critical success.
How many success?
It is. I guess technically a messy critical.
Oh.
You would call it.
Oh. Okay. So you have a crit on a hunger die and a crit on a normal die.
Yep.
Nice. Yep. Okay. Messy critical. Beautiful. So, give me a strength check.
All right. That's 2 successes.
2 success. Okay. You start slipping, trying to like stealthily slip your hand out, kind of trying to wiggle free, and you underestimate exactly how loosely you've been restrained at this point. And it looks like they had loosened some stuff to remove some of the IVs and stuff from you, and you actually rip your arm free. Everyone in the room turns and looks at you. The 2 guys in fatigue start rushing over. The orderly goes to grab your arm. Why don't you give me a strength and brawl?
Okay.
Contested roll.
That's 1 success.
Okay, so the orderly grabs you and slams your arm back down as both of the guys in fatigues rush over. One of them just cold cocks you right in the face. Take 4 superficial damage.
Ooh.
Halved, so only 2.
Only 2.
And you are actually kind of stunned for a second. At this point, the other agent exits the room, and 2 doctors walk in. On the other side, give me a wits and awareness check, and then give me the wits and awareness check.
Okay. That is 3 successes.
You notice that what the third guy on the other side of the room, the one who had woken up and started freaking out, he's awake again. Or maybe he was never actually asleep, but he's looking at you. And while he's looking at you, you hear that voice again. That voice that was inside you, and it says, "Come on, man, you just need one drink, and we can end this. We just got to get out of here." And you feel that voice get louder and stronger. Increase your hunger by 1.
Okay. Noted.
And one of the doctors comes over and pulls out a syringe and shoves it into the arm that is more firmly restrained, while the orderly is currently trying to get you tied down again. Okay. And he starts drawing blood.
While he's drawing blood, is he... Okay, so the orderly is trying to get me tied down. He's there. Is he close enough to me? Like, is he within biting distance?
Yes.
I'm going to... While they're both kind of distracted, I'm going to immediately go and bite where I can get some good skin.
Whatever flesh is near you, you're going to chomp down on?
Gonna chomp down on, yep.
I like it. Awesome. Okay. Give me a strength and brawl check.
Got it.
And let me actually double check, because they changed the rules on biting as an attack with the errata.
Yeah.
So I got to pull that up real quick. Uh-oh. Yes.
So my strength is only 2 dice.
Right.
My hunger is 3 dice.
Correct.
So if you get 2 critical successes on only hunger dice, what does that mean?
Nice.
Just for the people at home.
So that immediately means you have a bestial failure.
Yeah.
Bestial failure could do a couple of things, but specifically it means either your clan compulsion triggers, or you do something to break the masquerade, sustain damage, lose a background dot because you just irreparably damage it, or it increases your hunger. So as you attempt to bite down on this guy, do me a favor and increase your hunger by 1 again.
Okay.
And then give me a willpower roll.
Cool. Including hunger dice?
No.
Just straight up. Okay.
Yep.
That is 7 dice.
Yes, that is actually a lot of dice.
All right, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. 2
5
being
successes.
criticals.
Okay, so you feel that voice angrily rise up, but you squash it down very quickly. It's you can't tell exactly what it was trying to do to you, but it was definitely trying to take over and control you.
Yeah.
You're able to push it down. I'm gonna need you to give me another one of those in a minute. But before you do
Okay.
that, the doctor is able to draw some blood from you and steps away and put it on a tray and leaves the room. As he leaves the room, the priest walks back in. He says, he is awake. And he starts walking over to you. So last time when he entered the room and he pulled out the cross, you felt a warmth. This time you feel primal fear flood your system. It's almost as if whatever is inside you, whatever this voice is talking to you, is deathly afraid of this man for some reason.
Got it. Kendall immediately just starts trying to push himself back onto the gurney as much as possible, and just goes, "Away! Get away! Get away! Not you! Not you! One of the doctors again! One of the doctors! Not you!"
Go ahead and give me that willpower roll again. And as you are saying that, the priest raises the cross, and it's almost as if blinding sunlight is shining into your face.
Okay, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 successes?
In this particular instance, that is not enough. And as you feel that bestial nature rising up inside you, you black out as a roar rushes from your lips.
Got it. Man.
Okay, so you are unsure of how much time passes. And suddenly you snap to. And you are straddling the priest on the floor with your face buried in his neck. And you are drinking from him. Mark your hunger back down to 0.
Good.
Give me wits and insight.
All right. Not 7 die, but still.
Yeah.
Not
Not quite.
Not quite 7 dice. Still good. That is 2 successes.
Okay. As you pull your face away from his neck, you take in the scene around you. The other doctors who were in the room, and the orderly. So the doctor and the orderly, sorry, one of them had left, are both also dead. You see they have similar bite marks to the one on the priest, and the wounds are strangely bloodless.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you actually get a good look around the room, you see there are actually 2 tables, one to your left and right. One has restraints that appear to be torn and ripped away on it. The other one has another person on it who is also dead. They have the same bite marks on their neck, and they are not breathing. On the wall where the people were restrained, you see Melanie still. The strange-looking, very hideous person who is also dead with the bite marks on his neck. And the smaller man. The smaller man is awake, and he is looking at you kind of with a look of surprise and maybe a little bit of fear. It's like, dude, come on, get me out of here. We gotta go before more of them show up. Hurry up, come on.
Making my way over towards him, I'm like, do you know where we're at? Do you know where we are?
No, but if they come back, they're gonna kill us.
Okay, can you tell me what's happening?
Dude, we don't have time. We have to get out of here.
Fine. I go over and I unrestrain him,
Okay.
and then I immediately go over to Melanie.
Okay. When you get the restraints off them, he falls away. It's almost like he's been sitting there restrained for so long. His legs have fallen asleep. He like slumps down to the ground and picks himself up, and he's like, dude, just leave her. We gotta go.
Just see if there's anybody else that's awake or unconscious or anything like that. We gotta get
everyone else is dead, and he heads to the door.
Got it. I unrestrain Melanie.
Okay. He takes off. He punches the keypad on the door to open it up and just bolts. It's going to take you a minute to get the restraints off her. You notice that there's actually a name tag near her, and it says Thin Blood.
Thin Blood. Okay. I'm going to take that name tag.
Okay.
And I'm going to just like put it in the waistband of my underwear.
Yep.
Underwear. I'm going to look around. Is there like a after I unrestrain her? Are there any files or anything like that? Any papers around?
There are. Why don't you give me a quick wits and investigation roll?
Got it. That's 2 successes.
Nice. Okay. So you do notice that there are 2 other name tags. The small guy who you let go had one that had question marks on it.
Okay.
And then the hideous looking person has a name tag that says Nosrat, Nosrat.
Okay.
That doesn't nonsensical to you.
Yeah.
But you are able to lift Melanie. She is smaller, and you're able to throw her over your shoulder if you so choose and get her out, or you can put her on a gurney and wheel her out.
I'm going to find there's one of the doctors in here.
Yep.
I'm going to put her on a gurney and I'm going to slip on just his pants and a coat, a shirt and a coat, and I'm going to try to wheel her out.
Nice.
And
okay.
like put like a sheet over her if there's like a sheet around.
Okay. Nice. So you start wheeling through the hallways. It seems like people haven't noticed. Maybe no one overheard the commotion, but there's no one really around. It's pretty quiet. Once you get out into the hallway, this looks like some sort of medical facility, but it's very clearly not in use.
Okay. Are there any exit signs or any signs pointing towards like a reception area?
Yep, there's some exit signs that are lit up, and there's some emergency lighting that's on. And you're able to kind of make your way down the hallways. Are you going to try to go stealthily?
Yeah. I'm not going to try to like rush through. I'm just going to try to like look like I belong. Try to look like I belong.
Why don't you give me a wits and stealth check?
Excellent. That's 1 success.
Nice. Okay, so you're kind of wheeling around, just looking around, trying to make sure you have your bearings, figure out where you're going. As you are kind of going through the hallways, you realize you're above ground. You're a couple levels above ground. You're probably on like a 3rd or 4th story. You do see some rooms that have windows in them, but there's no windows in the hallways. So you see signs for elevators, stairwells, and as you round a corner, you see a security guard walking towards you. And this is not a guy in fatigues. This is not the military-esque looking people who were in the room earlier. This is a rent-a-cop. This is a guy who works a desk, kind of patrols a hallway, and he freezes.
He freezes?
Yeah, and just stares at you.
I stop. It's probably clear that he's recognized that I'm not supposed to be here. And I start wheeling Melanie while she's on the gurney straight at him. Like, just bum rush him with the gurney.
Okay, Just try to ram him with the gurney. I'm gonna call that a melee attack.
Okay.
Give me dex in melee.
Dex and melee. Okay.
Because it's kind of hard to maneuver and wield a gurney towards him.
Yeah. That is one success on a 10, so I guess it's one critical. So yeah.
Okay, one success.
Yeah.
That's good.
One success.
You do hit him. He's not able to dodge out of the way. And you knock him down. And he backs up against the door, and he holds up a key card. He's like, dude, just go, just leave me, please, don't hurt me.
I'm gonna get up in his face and grab the key card, and I'm going to get right in his face. I'm gonna say, "You didn't see me, and you didn't see anything."
No, he just starts like muttering almost incoherently and like covering his face and like curling up into a fetal position. He's terrified. And like, you don't personally view yourself as a particularly intimidating person, so you're thinking something else has happened this evening that has scared this guy.
I'm very much like trying to act like an action hero, putting on my best John McClane, like John Wick kind of style. And then I just nod and I grab the gurney and I wheel it over to the elevators and try to do the keypad.
Keypad unlocks and calls the elevator. And a minute, the elevator shows up.
I roll the gurney in and then I poke my head out and I look at him and I say, "Nothing."
Go ahead and give me give me a manipulation and intimidation check.
Cool. All right. Manipulation and then intimidation. Okay, that's just 2. 2 successes.
Nice. Yeah. You catch a quick whiff of urine, and he just keeps cowering. Okay. Once you're in the elevator, you punch the first floor. You quickly realize you were on like the 5th floor of this whatever building this is, and it takes you down to the 1st floor.
While that's happening, I'm going to take the sheet off of Melanie. I'm going to take the lab coat and put it on her because I'm assuming she's just in underwear too.
Yes, correct.
So I'm going to try to decencyfy her, make her a little bit more decent, put the lab coat on her, and I'm just going to have her lean on me.
So it kind of looks like she's
just like resting on me, like rest her head on my shoulder, my arm, just kind of keeping her under support.
Okay, so you help half carry her out that way, and are able to, as you approach the doors, she actually begins to stir. Oh yeah.
Okay.
She starts to wake up. And she stops you for a split second just so she can catch her balance, and she looks around. She's like, "Oh my god. Oh my god." And then she looks at you and she's like, "I'm so sorry. I can't believe I let them catch you like that. So sorry. I don't know how they found us."
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what's going on, but we can't stick around here. We've got to find an alley or something.
No, let's go. And she starts pushing towards the door as well. She does need your support a little bit, but she's able to maintain her own momentum. And you make it outside. As you push through the doors, it is a very cold evening. You're not sure if it's the same evening. Yeah. But it is chilly. There's a nice cool breeze even for this time of year.
Got it.
Where do you go? Once you're outside, actually, why don't you give me a intelligence and streetwise check?
Cool. Let's see. Yeah, 3 dice. That's 1 success.
It takes you a minute. You move towards the street. You kind of look around, but you think you might know where you are. You've at least driven past this area before. It's not near the university. That's actually closer to where you work, and you're able to get your bearings and kind of figure out where to go from here.
Um, hmm. Would I know that if there's anybody like who's working tonight, or if it's like a reduced staff or something? Like it's a
It would
limited
be,
staff instead of
yeah, it would just be like
yeah.
someone working the door and one or two of the night shift orderlies, third shift.
Okay, okay. Would there be a back door into the facility?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there would be a service entrance where you bring in food and laundry gets delivered, stuff like that.
I'm gonna try to take us there. I'm gonna start navigating the way there.
Okay. As you're making your way through the streets, it's coming back to you pretty quickly. You're able to really maneuver around very easily. You're able to pick up when you see the cars are coming, stop, and as you're making your way down the street, Melanie actually stops all of a sudden, and she pulls away from you, and she's like, "Oh no, oh no, 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 no! What did they do to you?"
No, I don't know. It was like a blood transfusion thing. It's not important. We've got to get off the street
No, no,
now.
no,
Gotta...
no, 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 no! You can't be seen with me. You're one of them now. If you're seen with me, they will kill you. And
one of them.
She turns and she just takes off running.
Melanie. Okay, fuck you two then. Now, what the hell, man? Okay,
Do you keep
she's
heading?
running off.
She's running in the opposite. Yeah, she's running in the opposite direction that you were heading before. She just turns and she bolts.
I try a couple times yelling your name again. She doesn't turn around. I'm just like,
she glances. She glances over her shoulder once, but she keeps going.
Okay.
Why? So you're going to continue going to the
facility.
Yeah. The recovery center. Okay.
Yeah.
Question: we didn't cover this during character creation. Apologies. We're going to add a character for a split second.
Yeah.
What were you going to take for your first and second dots of Auspex, and what were you going to take for your first dot of Obfuscate?
Oh, good point. Okay, here, let me look. Let me find Obfuscate and
Obfuscate can give you either Cloak of Shadows or Quiet of Death, which I may have just butchered the name of that one because I was doing it off the top of my head. And then obviously you have Heightened Senses, Sense the Unseen, and I believe Premonition for Auspex.
That's right. I want to go with Premonition for Auspex.
Okay, so that would be your second dot.
Second dot, yeah.
Yep. All right, and what about the first dot?
Sense the Unseen.
Okay. And then, yeah, Premonition would be the level. And then for Obfuscate, yeah, it would be Cloak of Shadows or...
Cloak of Shadows
Silence of Death. Silence of Death.
Silence of Death, yeah. I'm going to go with Cloak of Shadows.
Cool, okay. So, you make your way around, and you are at the service entrance, and as you come around the corner, you see one of the orderlies out back smoking.
Okay. I'm going to...
You recognize him.
Recognize him?
Yeah, you do recognize him. You've worked some shifts together.
I'm going to... Making sure there's nobody else around, I'm going to try my best to stumble up towards him, make myself look like I'm injured.
Okay. As you start making your way over there, you see a cop car pull up on the other side of the kind of alley that the back entrance is in. And you see two officers get out and start making their way down the alley.
Is there something I can get behind?
There is. There's a dumpster. There's some like cars from the people who are parked there. You're able to slip behind and hide behind something very easily.
Yeah, I'll slip behind the cars.
Okay. You slip in and just try your best to just not be seen.
Put my feet where the tires are at. And kind of make my best to contour my body.
Yep. Conveniently, though, you are able to overhear the conversation perfectly.
Okay.
And as they approach, one of the cops is like, "Hey, man, is there a Wendell that works here? Wendell. Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Why? Do you have contact information? We're trying to reach out to family, roommates. Why is he in trouble? No, nothing like that. He's not in trouble. He's just we just need to talk to his family, associates. Like, does he have a roommate? Does he a wife? Is he married? Does he live with someone? You guys like, I mean, yeah, he works here. We have some personnel files on him. Why don't you come inside? And the two cops head inside with the orderly.
Cool. Did they leave the engine running in the car?
No.
Shit. They go inside. Whew. I'm gonna go to the cop car.
Okay.
Is the door unlocked?
No.
Damn. Okay. Let's see. I've got that name tag. I've got pants on.
You do?
Is there a bottle or anywhere around here?
A bottle?
Yeah,
yes.
like a glass bottle. Okay, I'm gonna pick up the glass bottle. Oh no, that probably wouldn't work. They probably wouldn't have enough force. No, I'm gonna break it. I'm gonna try to slash one of their tires.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a pure strength check.
Okay.
To break the bottle.
That is one success.
Okay, and then give me a strength and melee check. You are able to get a nice big jagged piece of glass, still safely held.
And that is one success as well.
Okay. You're not able to puncture the tire.
Okay.
With the glass, you're just not strong enough.
Okay, cool. I'm just gonna leave it underneath that tire then. So if it rolls backwards or forwards, it's gonna hit one of them.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna start making my way to. There wouldn't be any clothes outside. I'm gonna start making my way back to my house.
Okay. So you start making your way back home.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting pretty late at night, early in the morning, as you're making your way home.
Mm-hmm.
And you arrive fairly close to dawn. And when you get there, you see a cop car.
Oh, great. I'm gonna try to hide too. I'm gonna find some bushes to hide.
Okay. Yeah. No. You know your own home well enough that you know where to hide out front, where you're not gonna be able to see you from the front door. And about 5 or so minutes later, the door opens, and the two police officers you saw earlier step outside with your roommate, trailing them. Your roommate stays in the doorway, and he's like, "Wow, I can't believe he's dead. Like, what happened?" They're like, "We can't really fully discuss the details of an ongoing case, sir, but we are investigating this. We suspect foul play." Your roommate looks visibly upset, and they say, "Just if there's anything you need," one of them hands him a card, and he's like, "Please reach out, and if you think of anything, if there's anyone who may have wanted to hurt him or any enemies, any information you can give us at all, please let us know." And they get in the car and they leave.
I'm gonna wait until Virgil goes back inside.
Okay.
I would assume there's like a fire escape leading up to our place.
Oh yeah.
Probably go outside. I'd like to my room. I'd probably go outside and smoke there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to clamber up the fire escape and get to my window quietly too.
Okay, give me a dex and stealth roll.
Cool. That is one success.
One success. Okay. You make your way up the fire escape ladder and to your window. And as you are climbing in the window, Virgil walks in the room and flicks the light on.
Oh shit! Turn the light off, Virgil.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck is right? What are you doing waking me up like that, man?
Why did the cops just here telling me you were dead?
I don't know. I got mugged. after the date, I was coming home, and I got mugged by a couple of guys. I don't know.
But
I don't know. I was bleeding everywhere, and I just tried to stumble home, and I got lost.
you're
Yeah.
not bleeding now, and why are you wearing someone else's clothes?
That's the thing, man. They took all of my clothes. They took everything, man. And I found these pants in the dumpster. They're stink. I just need to get changed real quick. I'll explain everything, okay, man? Just let me get changed, okay?
I mean, if you were hurt, we should take you to the hospital. We need to file a police report.
I already went to the hospital, and then they couldn't help me. They were like telling me to stay there and everything, and I need to get home.
Dude, you're not making.
I think it's shock. I think I'm shocked. Yeah, I hit my head. It might be a concussion. You can take me to the hospital. I just gotta put some clothes on, okay, man?
Oh, okay. All right. Just. All right. I guess. Jesus, dude.
Yeah, it's cold out. Go ahead and go get the car running or something, okay?
Oh, okay. All right. Dude, just hurry up. Jesus. He slips out downstairs.
I'm going to immediately put on clothes.
Okay.
A hoodie and some like black pants, black hoodie, black like whatever shoes I have. T-shirt. I'm gonna grab a beanie.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab whatever cash I have stowed away. I have no wallet. I've got nothing else. I'm gonna take a picture of me and my sister. I'm gonna take it out of the frame. I'm gonna fold it up, put it in my pocket.
Okay.
And I'm going to head up. I'm going to close the door, close the window, and I'm going to head up to the roof of the building.
Okay. So up on the roof of the building, you can hear the car running out front, your roommate's car. And you can see, actually, that's a decent sized building. You can kind of see over a lot of the surrounding buildings, and you can see that it's still, you probably have about an hour or so of night left.
Not really knowing where to go. There's an hour of night. Will there be like any 24-hour bars or anything like that?
No, most of the bars would be closed by this time. There's some convenience stores.
I'm going to head back down the fire escape and try to make my way just someplace. Maybe like a homeless shelter or something.
Okay. All right. So as you're making your way away from the building, you are obviously give me a well, you're going down the back, I assume, so you're not gonna your roommate's not gonna notice you.
Yeah, for sure.
As you're making your way down the street, you see car headlights turn on in front of you.
I'm going to immediately dodge into whatever alley or nook I can and try to make myself small as possible.
Okay.
Just kind of look away, put my hood up with my beanie on.
Give me a wits and survival check.
Ooh, okay. Survival.
Good to give you a bit of an urban survival.
Yeah. That is 3 successes.
All right, 3 successes. That is enough. You're actually able to kind of duck and cover and hide. Again, really like just tucking yourself away like you're almost invisible. And you see the car kind of roll past the entrance to the alley you ducked into, and you can see the two cops who were talking to your roommate. They're not driving a cop car this time, though. And one of them shines a flashlight down the alley, and for a second you think he's going to see you, but he just kind of sweeps it over the area you're in, and they keep rolling down the street.
I'm going to keep on making my way.
Before you can leave the alley, you hear a voice behind you. Clever. was pretty clever.
Fuck! What the fuck, man? Turn around.
A large gentleman, probably about 6 foot, and probably looks like he was a football linebacker at some point. Steps kind of out of the shadows near you. Says, "My name's Marcus."
Hello, Marcus. My name is Kendall. Nice to meet you. Do you meet everybody from the shadows of an alleyway?
Only people who are hiding in them.
Fair enough.
I see you are new to the city.
I'm not new to the city, man. I've lived here my whole life. I just been. I'm very low key.
Then you are new to being a kindred.
A what?
Oh, joy. He does not sound amused. Come with me. You seem like you have some questions. I will answer them.
I've got a shit ton of questions. How are you going to be the one that's going to answer these?
Those
Marcus?
Those guys who are looking for you?
Yeah, the cops.
Nope. Government. And they hunt certain types of people.
Well, yeah, the government hunts certain types of people. I mean, that's on the news all the time. It's on Twitter and everything.
Well, you are now one of those types of people.
I'm one of those types of people. Okay, well.
Here. Like I said, come with me. And he motions, and the other end of the alley, where it opens up onto the street on the other side, you can see like a plain tan sedan parked.
Kendall's gonna stop. He's gonna start walking. He's gonna stop. He's gonna look over his shoulder. He's gonna feel in his pocket. He's gonna go, fuck it, and then follow him.
Okay. The guy walks over and gets in the driver's seat and leans over and unlocks the passenger side door and pushes it open.
I slip in, close the door. This is a nice set of wheels you got, Marcus. If that is your real name.
He snorts. He's like, no, they're not. And it is. All right. And as he drives, I'm going to gloss over this part just a little bit because I know you are intimately familiar with vampire lore, as are probably most of our viewers. But he explains what a kindred is and what the camarilla is, and he explains that you have been turned into a vampire, as unbelievable as that may be. But that also means there are now rules that you have to follow and obey. There are certain allowances that you need to take, and one of those is introducing yourself to the kindred ruler of the city. Think of him like the mayor.
So the mayor, like the mayor. So like the deputy mayor, or
he's basically the mayor, and to be fair, he controls the actual mayor. So
okay, all right. So like a vampire. Okay, got it. Cool.
You'll have all your questions answered, I promise. I know that what I just told you probably raised more than it answered.
Oh, very much so. But I'm a student of things, so I'm good to go. It's fine. Yeah, completely. This is completely normal.
So now that I've answered some of your questions and raised some more, maybe, do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Shoot, man. I mean, you got me out of a tight spot, so I guess I owe you a couple of answers. All right.
What happened to you?
What happened? Well, it was kind of a normal day. I went to work, met somebody new. went on a date. That's kind of abnormal. That's not normal for me. But I went on a date, and it was starting out all right. We were really clicking, and then she got tased, and I was gassed by some random guy. It's never happened before, but this is the first time for everything. I woke up in a room of some sorts, in like some kind of facility. It was like an experimentation room or something. There was people on gurneys all around me. My date was across from me, and there was those guys in the fatigues, the army clothes, but they were black, and a priest and some lady that was like talking to him and stuff. Orderlies, doctors, they were taking blood, giving me blood like a transfusion. They had IV set up, they had heart monitors on everybody. And well, there was another guy that woke up. There was me, and then there was my date, Melanie. Well, I'm trying to escape the whole time. They gagged me. There's like a cross involved. I remember it, feeling very uncomfortable. I died. My heartbeat stopped. I mean, I can guarantee that as somebody from the medical field. And well, I came back, but different. Not really came back though. Like it was like a near-death experience, but like the whole thing. And then next thing I know, priest man is shoving the cross in my face, and I black out, and I wake up on top of him, and the dude is he's toast, or more like a raisin, not toast, more like a raisin. And well, there's a couple of others that are same like that, and I helped out the little guy. I helped out Melanie. We got out of there. I don't know. And when I was helping her out, we got in the street and we were going to go to my place of work, where we both work. And then she freaked out. She said I was one of them and that I would be killed. And then she ran off. She just blew me off, man. So I made my way back home after seeing those cop guys at my work, and then they showed up at my place. They told my roommate I was dead, and then well, yeah. And then you saw me. That snuck out.
Sounds. Give me a wits and insight check.
Cool.
He says that sounds unbelievable, but I have heard crazier stories.
That's 3 successes.
3 successes. All right, you can tell he believes you.
Okay.
He definitely believes the story you told him. He just, you could tell there's that edge of he thinks that you may have misunderstood some of the stuff that you saw. Do you share any of the name tags or any of that stuff that you found with him?
Yeah. I pull out the name tag, the Melanie name tag, and show him, and I tell him about the Nosrat one, and then the one that question marked.
Okay.
At first I'm kind of reserved with this guy, but as I start going in the story and I kind of like start reliving it, I kind of like just open up, the floodgates open up for this guy, and he just like can't stop talking.
Nice. He lets you, basically. Everything you tell him is a bit of information. He drives for a while longer, just letting you tell the events of the evening. Do you share any information about the security guard that you encountered? Do you tell him about that? Do you tell him about the any of the specifics of the procedures they were doing, that from your understanding of the medical side of it?
I go into the medical stuff, but I don't tell him about the security guard. I just kind of tell him that we got out. I tell him about putting her on a gurney and wheeling her out of there, but I don't go into like deep detail.
Okay.
But I do go into the medical procedures specifically.
Okay.
Almost nerd-like.
Yeah. He does seem more interested when you start talking about that and like describing how you understood what they were doing because of your background. And it's almost like he's making mental notes, but he doesn't interrupt you. But eventually he pulls into a an abandoned old construction site. It doesn't seem like completely abandoned, but obviously work hasn't been done here for a while. And he pulls through, parks his car, and you can see that there's a ring of cars parked around a big pit that's been dug in the ground with like a backhoe, and all the cars have their headlights on.
Is it your clubhouse or something?
It's an impromptu meeting. Get out.
Okay. Okay.
And he gets out of the car.
Yeah, I open up the door and follow suit.
When he gets out of the car, he, not roughly, but he walks around and he takes you by the arm and he leads you forward towards the edge of the pit.
Got it.
Once, as you get closer and you get within the ring of all the headlights, you can see there's a few people standing by their cars. And give me wits and awareness.
It's an awareness. Okie dokie. Oh yeah, okay, cool. That is a critical success.
Excellent.
That's 5 all told.
So you immediately notice the smell of gasoline in the air.
Oh.
And
okay.
you notice a few discarded red gasoline cans, as well as a few that appear to still be full. Once you reach the pit, you notice that there is a person bound in chains, gagged, and blindfolded in the pit. And a person standing at the other side of it flicks a lit cigarette down, and the person bound in chains ignites into flames.
Immediately, just like, what the shit? What?
Almost like they were soaked in gasoline.
Yeah. Okay. Look. I turn towards Marcus, like, look, I don't.
His grip on your arm tightens.
Okay. Look, man, just look, I don't know what's going on here, man. I thought you were trying to help me. Hey, I don't want to get in trouble. Okay.
I am trying to help you. Stay calm and listen. The person who flicked the cigarette down turns and says, it's a woman. She says, "That is what happens when you break the masquerade. Let that be a lesson to all of you fledglings." And then she turns and she looks at the sheriff and she says, "Who do I thank for ruining my evening?" The sheriff looks down at you, looks back at her, says, "Sadly, ma'am, the Second Inquisition." The Second Inquisition captured several kindred in our domain this evening, including some outside of the sect, and seem to have been performing medical experiments on them. For instance, testing how long it takes for someone to be ghouled and for someone to be embraced, how much vitae it takes. Also, the stages of damage that true faith can be used against them, different clans, even on thin bloods. At that point, another person is pulled from beyond the ring of cars who you couldn't see before, and a bag is removed from their head, and it is Melanie. And the person shoves her down on the ground and pushes her to the edge of the pit, but does not throw her in.
I kind of like make like a start, almost like a step.
The sheriff's grip on your arm does not change, but he does not let go, and he is holding you very tightly.
Got it. I look back at him, just like eyes wide.
He holds a finger up to his lips. The prince kneels down by Melanie and lifts her head with her hand by the chin and says, "Give me one good reason why I should allow you to continue to exist in my city." And as she does so, she pushes Melanie into the pit. Just like a flick of her wrist, and Melanie flips over down into the pit. Way, way more easily. Like she tossed her like a rag doll.
I kind of look back at at Marcus with a little bit more urgency in my eyes, and I just mouth, "What?"
prince stands, and she turns and looks at you. And she says, I will ask you the same question. She doesn't approach you. She does not treat you with the same level of hostility. It's almost as if she was disgusted by Melanie's existence. And she says, give me one good reason why I should allow you to exist in my city. We're embraced without permission through, albeit not your own fault, but the sins of the father and all that in this case. Maybe we can make an exception. Plead your case. Why should I allow you to continue existing? Sheriff kind of nudges you and says under his breath, tell her what you told me.
Ma'am, ladies and gentlemen of the court, my name, and I tell her my name, and I recount what happened during the day. And when I get to the part about Melanie and I being on a date and being captured, I say, my friend Melanie, I like kind of like the way that like you say your name over and over to a kidnapper.
Yeah.
Humanize them.
Yep.
I kind of say that. I make like to make it's like I'm a human. Like please like treat me, not like just a thing. I say that over and over, like her name whenever I bring her up in the story, and then I recount the whole thing about the medical procedures that I were going over, and I go into detail about what they were doing exactly. Just even giving like CCs of how much blood they were taking and how much they were putting in from what I could remember. Descriptions of what they look like.
Give me an intelligence and a medical roll.
Okay. 6 dice. Come on, don't fail me now. Ooh, all right. That is 1, 2, 2 criticals.
Oh,
so
yeah.
6. Yeah, 6.
You recount it in vivid detail, actually. And you tell the story of the evening. She, when you're done, she nods, and then she turns and she motions for someone who is also standing outside of the ring of cars to enter, and you see the guy who took off, the guy you let go and who took off, walk forward. And he kind of walks out, and he seems much calmer now, much more collected, and much more sure of himself. Prince says, what say you? You're the one who told us of this event. He says, yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happened. The guy, I mean, kudos to, what did you say your name? Wendell? Kendall?
Kendall, yeah. Kendall.
Yeah, I mean, to his credit, he took the time to free me and her. So, good for him. But, yeah, no, that's pretty much the gist of it. I don't have anything else to add. Shit, he noticed more than I did. Prince nods, and then she looks at the sheriff, and she's like, has this fledgling broken any of our traditions other than the obvious ones this evening? The sheriff says, well, actually, to his credit, even without knowing what he is, no, he didn't. He managed to uphold the masquerade even without being aware of its existence. The sheriff steps back, or the prince steps back, and the sheriff actually pulls you back away from the pit a little bit, out of the circle, and he says, give her a minute, she will make a decision. You see the prince.
Yeah, man, I'll wear a mask, I'll do whatever. Come on.
If you watch the prince, she seems to be deep in thought, definitely weighing pros and cons, and trying to make a formal decision in this instance. Read that. Yep. And she looks at you for a minute, almost quizzically. And you get this weird sensation she's just like staring into your soul. What it feels like. And then she approaches again. And she says, Kendall, step forward. And the sheriff actually releases you. He doesn't drag you around like he was before.
I do and awkwardly remove my beanie, like a hat taking off a hat, and then kind of like start to kneel and then stand and just like wring the beanie in my hands, kind of in this half bowed kind of looking down, not making.
I have one final question. The other kindred who were in the room, Nosferatu, or as the Second Inquisition have incorrectly labeled him, the Nosrat, and the one who is still on the table. Who killed them?
I didn't see. I saw there were puncture marks in their neck. For a second, I thought it might have been me, but that doesn't make sense because I started with the priest. When I came to, I was with the priest. So I don't know.
She turns and
Transitive property.
She turns and she looks at the smaller man, and he says, "It was the other guy." And he looks at you and he says, "So the only other thing that you didn't know, and I already told the prince, was that there was another guy in the room, on the other table. And when you broke free, he also frenzied, and he broke free, and he killed the other two kindred before he took off."
Yeah, man. I wouldn't do anything to hurt any of your people. You know, I'm a good guy. I like to get to know people. I wouldn't knowingly hurt somebody that was just tied up like that. I don't know. I don't, I like. There's only one person that I really know, and she didn't hurt anybody. She was, I'll stop talking.
Speaking of, the prince looks down in the pit. What are we going to do about her? We do not tolerate thin bloods in the Camarilla. Typically, they are immediately put to death. Let me ask you, what would you do? It's her fault that this happened to you.
I would usually defer to your judgment, your kind of realm, or the sheriff. But she didn't knowingly do anything wrong. She and even when she realized what I was, she tried to get away from me. She selflessly told me to stay away from her, or else I'd get killed if I was seen around her. She did her best to protect me, even knowing what she was. I guess she didn't hurt anybody, and if anything, she could probably be a boon. I guess if she's different, I don't know. She was there too. She might know things. I'd say either use her to the best of her abilities or tell her to skip town. You know, I mean, she probably doesn't have anything here. She just moved here. She just got a job here. She could probably just leave.
The prince smirks, and she motions with a hand, and one of the other guys, larger guys, almost built a lot like the sheriff, jumps down in the pit and lifts Melanie up, drags her back up out to the prince. And the prince looks at her and she says, "Well, you have had two people speak on your behalf this evening. I'll give you the choice. you can leave the city forever, or you can receive the full embrace and continue your existence as one of us, a true kindred. But if that is the case, and she looks at you too, Kendall, Melanie, and you, Roberto, the smaller guy, perks up like, whoa, what did I do? 3 of you are responsible for, I will be made responsible for hunting down that unknown kindred who killed 2 of our kind and escaped and left you all there. Hunt him down and bring him to justice. That is your penance. If you accomplish that task, you will be allowed full rights to live in our city. Melanie immediately starts nodding yes and agreeing.
I kind of follow her lead, and I'm like, yeah, whatever you need, Prince. You're the chief. Yeah.
She smiles and nods, and she says, "Good. Then it is settled." And that is the end of our scenario.
I did it! I survived!
Nice.
Man.
Very nice. So the idea here is that this sets the scene for a subsequent session. You can invite more players to. So you could add people who could come in and play the date, the witness, the other people who are assigned, and form a coterie now out of it. That's it's a one-on-one to introduce a new player, but it also builds the foundation for a small chronicle and allows you to bring in more players afterwards and expand on the concept of it. Yeah. What'd you think?
Very rad. Very rad. Yeah. I agree with with my. It's one hell of a session 0. That's a lot. Great session, man.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, it's 10:20. That was actually really good timing. You want to stick around with me? We can chat about what you thought about it and answer some questions with our chat here.
For sure, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So thank you everyone for joining in and tuning in and watching us this evening. I want to just let you know, thanks to your follows and your viewership, we actually hit affiliate tonight, midstream. I saw a little notification pop up on my other monitor. I was like, ooh, look at that. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you tuning in. We really hope you enjoyed this. If you liked Fatal Choices, this is actually available on our website. You can go to gehennagaming.com and go to the resources section, and the full scenario is up there for you to read and run yourselves. Please enjoy, print it out, use it, try it. We've had people adapt it to play it with multiple players. It worked really well. So if you do run it, let us know what you thought and what your feedback is. We are currently writing our second scenario, so we're pretty excited to push that out.
For sure.
Awesome. So let's see. I'm just going to scroll through chat here. But what did you think?
Oh, I loved it, man. It was good. It's good setting. It's lore setting and like world setting and world building. Putting like a lot into the storytellers to really build the world and let the at first the new player be kind of a passenger into it. Just using like things that they've taken from their story and weaving into it, and then putting them in the driver's seat essentially and being like, okay, well, what do you do? So it gets them comfortable, it gets them assimilated, and then you give them the wheels for a little bit, but not too much for them to run wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I dug it. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad. Yeah, no, it's the idea behind this one. This is obviously a scenario that's a little bit more on the rails, which it's a good tool for teaching someone who's new how to play. I definitely, it's not my like when I'm running with a coterie, running with a group of players who are familiar with Vampire and World of Darkness, I definitely run a much more open style game. I don't kind of tell them exactly what happens. A lot more player choice is involved. But it's important even in something like this to incorporate a lot of what the player is trying to do with the character.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. And I agree with Jonan as well. Starting the player as a human before being turned is really good. It kind of helps them with their ambitions and desires,
yeah,
and I always like a good embrace description, a good embrace scene.
that was the we wanted to do something unique. Obviously, like it breaks the rules a little bit. You can't, according to VTM lore, you can't embrace someone by injecting them with vampire blood, but it adds more of a dramatic element to it and an interesting twist with the Second Inquisition that we don't really know what level of technology they have. So hey,
Yeah, yeah. And it gives that sense of helplessness too, a little
yeah,
bit.
yep,
Kind of really sets the setting for the World of Darkness game.
yeah, absolutely. We wanted to leverage a good amount of World of Darkness lore too. So you have True Faith cropping up in there. Bunch of different clans trying to the funniest thing for me is trying to describe clan stereotypes without just being like, well, it's a Nosferatu.
Yeah. So yeah. It's a tall, skinny, ugly guy, and then it's you got short guy, and you've got just all the different descriptors of like somebody that's a little bit more animalistic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So like, you've got the Thin Blood who's very unassuming. You've got
Mm-hmm.
a Nosferatu. Your character Malkavian, although who knows what Malkavian? There's no stereotype for what a Malkavian really looks like.
Yeah.
And then the small kind of dirty guy is actually a caitiff.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah. Rad.
so
I love a good love a good caitiff. Love a good caitiff.
hmm so yeah, I've been scrolling through chat here. Didn't see a lot of questions pop up. Appreciate the support, Mixed Stabber Studios. Thank you very much. I also see some folks from Near Dark Studios in here. Thank you very much as well. Very cool of you to
Mm-hmm.
hop in and join us. Bunch of new names. I'm gonna guess some of these are your friends.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them are. I recognize some of them from my game and just my group of friends, like Hamster Robber and Big Brawler
Nice.
and Shelby Jellybean. Yeah,
Very cool. Well,
they're
welcome.
all. Yep, and they're all playing in my Chronicle that I'm going to be running here probably next month or afterwards,
Awesome.
depending on everybody's schedule. Yeah.
Very cool. Just a shirtless employee with a name tag hanging from his drawers.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going through as well.
Mixed Stabber. That's actually a really good way of doing it. So at one point when I was having you do some brawl stuff, he said he lets players choose if they want to use strength or dex with their brawl and melee rolls because it's like, are you using brute force versus finesse? I do like that. I also never liked the fact that it was dex and stuff in older versions because strength
Mm-hmm.
does make more sense with like a brawl specifically, but I do like mixing dex in for some stuff because someone who does Wing Chun is not a strength based fighter; they're a dexterity based fighter. It's finesse.
Yes.
Um, so that's a good call. I like that.
Yeah, and I've seen other storytellers do that as well. Just
Mm-hmm.
depending on the character and stuff. Like you don't want to put everything against your players. You want to make it a challenge, but you don't want to make it overwhelming for them, unless it's supposed to be overwhelming for them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's see here.
Thank you.
So, go ahead. Sorry.
I was thanking. I got to the point where people were saying it was a great session. So thank you very much. Yeah, I think the aspect of starting you off as human was really critical for this, especially as an introductory to Vampire the Masquerade, because yeah, it's easy to jump into the skin of a vampire and be like, I'm an awesome immortal creature and blah 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 blah. That's like you started from somewhere. And one of the most important aspects of Vampire the Masquerade is the personal horror of it. And you only really get the personal horror of it from understanding where you came from and how that's being ripped away from you.
Yeah, agreed. That's something that I've been talking with my players too about, is like, let me know about your sire, tell me everything about your sire together, and we're gonna like talk about it. But like, it's very important to like I asked them for a full detailed backstory. I'm like,
Yep.
give me a full backstory about your human, like, and don't be afraid to go too in depth, because there's no such thing, because I can pull things from your history and throw those nuggets in later. I even asked them for a 10-song playlist, like music, and it
Nice.
doesn't have to be period specific, but like 10 songs that like in order, like tell me everything I need to know about your characters, so I can listen to that while I'm also writing and like get me in the mood.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love building playlists for my characters and even my NPCs. I also build them for my chronicles, so I'll assign a song per session. So that's really cool. I like that too. As someone who's more musically minded, getting into the headspace of someone else's character to understand what's driving them. But I think the one thing that you mentioned, telling you about the sire, is super important, because a lot of people gloss over the embrace as part of their backstory, but it's like, you were embraced. Your sire chose you for a reason. Maybe it's personal reasons, maybe it's clan reasons, maybe it's sect reasons, but they chose you for a reason. So like, you need to know who they were, or maybe you don't know who they were, and that can be just as powerful, but it can also be really easy to overuse.
And it's also an excellent plot point too. I mean, if like, and as a player, if you're telling your storyteller, you're like, I don't really know what I want to do with the sire. I kind of think that maybe my character wouldn't know about it. That gives the storyteller some agency. That's where you can throw in a subplot at any point. It's a useful tool. So like, just even communicating with like your storyteller, being like, I don't know, or I know exactly everything about my sire. I know what kind of son of a bitch they are. I know what kind of a good person they are. It really helps. Like, any information at all helps.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that I felt was lacking from V5 compared to older editions, is the removal of all of the merits and flaws that are related to backstory stuff, because you could have a lot of interesting things with like infamous sire and sire's resentment, or rival sires, and a lot of stuff that doesn't actually have to do with your character, but affects their social standing in the world.
That's something that I hope they add as they go along. And they add more like chronicles and a little bit more errata and everything as they update. I hope they add more merits and flaws that are more expansive to backstory.
I do too.
In the lore itself, I do like the lore sheets that they have so far. I can't wait for more to come out. I think those are really cool and really help the storyteller.
I love the lore sheets. Definitely more lore sheets. Have you seen the ones they made for the LA by Night characters?
I have not, actually.
They're very cool. They're available online somewhere. Geek and Sundry put them out. But I think I have them. I can send them to you.
Excellent. Yeah, I love that.
They're really cool. They're very, very cool. It's one for each main character, and then they have some for some of the SPCs as well. Some of the bit more important ones. So, but yeah, lore sheets. Excellent. And I think I hope that they're going to utilize lore sheets as a way to craft clan lore as well. Stuff like Zemis, where you have like a clan that is super branched in two directions, or even like Salubri, stuff like that. You can do some cool things.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's something that I've kind of told my players a little bit. Some of them, I'm like, yeah, you have all these clans to choose from, but there's more out there. There's way more out there that's not in the V5 book. That it goes in depth with like a bunch of them. Like even some of my favorites are included in V5, like Giovanni, or like Ravnos. Soon.
Yeah, we are supposed to have Giovanni, Ravnos, and Zemis before the end of the year.
Perfect. So. Yeah. More supplements. More. Give us more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna comment on something McStabber Studios said. That's absolutely most of I don't usually do session zeros as one-on-ones, but I did when I started my current V5 chronicle Providence by Night is we did a session 0 for planning and character creation, and then I did a mini one-on-one with each of the players afterwards just to set them up with the main plot hook. But yeah, doing the group session 0 for like 3-4 hours definitely helped create a lot of foundation for some of the players. Some of them already had very strong backstories crafted. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, both you obviously, but also the chat, on helping players create backstories, because that's one thing that we've run into with some new players, is especially people coming out of more of a hack and slash D&D mindset, is not really being like, oh well, like I was an orphan and then I was embraced and blah 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 blah. It's like that's not how backstories work in this system.
Yeah.
So like how do you help people who come into it with that mindset kind of get out of the box and out of their comfort zone?
I do this with like even my D games and my like Savage Worlds games, whatever system that I'm running. I very much like to have sit down like solos, like sit and talk with people. And I tell them like the first thing is like I actually was talking to one of my friends recently that they're like I want to try tabletop again. I tried it before and it didn't really work out. I didn't really get it, but now I really want to like buckle down and try it. And they're like, I have an idea for a character, but I'm worried that I'm stealing from something. And I told them, I was like, that's not a thing. Like stealing, like you can obviously like directly steal a character from another property, and that's your character now.
Yeah.
But like every character, just read Joseph Campbell, read anything. Every character is stealing something.
Yeah.
They all came from something. What makes them unique is what happens during the role play and how
Absolutely.
you can work with your storyteller or your keeper or your dungeon master to help kind of expand them. Family trees are a big thing that I'm going to start trying to implement in my games.
Oh, nice,
It's something that I use for my own like NPCs and my SBCs. I have family trees, and also jobs. Think about like tell character like players to think about like how your own life affects like think about your own life. Think about like there's you, and yes, in your world, in your head, like you're this one singular planet, and everything revolves around you. But the people that you work with, they have that same thing. Like just like you, they have parents or they came from someplace.
Yeah.
They have relationships. They have the people they work with, your bosses, the person that you like get your groceries from, the delivery, the pizza delivery guy. Like it's all connected in this web. That's why I like the relationship map so much for Vampire. It's like everything is connected. And yes, it's not connected to the point of like Star Wars, where there's only one family in the whole galaxy and they fuck everything up for everybody else. But like it's expansive and it's a web, and every little piece of nugget of information about like what kind of food they eat. Are they vegetarian? Are they an alcoholic? Like relationship wise, with their sexuality, their religion, like any of those things, those are kernels for story that they can like expand upon. Which I know is a lot. I was rambling a lot, but yeah.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Because like Marchosius said, thinking about what the character does when they're alone, and then kind of driving. One thing that I think that V5 does better than pretty much any game I've played is that the way we did the character creation today. It walks you through your character's backstory. It's very bare bones. It's bullet points, but it makes you think about elements like, well, what do they do for fun? What do they know how to do? Like, because otherwise, in older systems, it's like, well, I have firearms. Well, how do you have firearms? What did your character do that got them a skill in firearms when they were a lawyer, sort of thing?
Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I was looking at the sheet and everything, and just from when I've played before and like that I've streamed, I know what skills are useful. I know that brawl's useful. I know that firearms are useful. Larceny's useful. Like streetwise subterfuge, all these things are useful. But would a recovering alcoholic that works as an orderly at a rehab facility know how to fire a gun? Like you're a med student.
Yeah,
like,
probably not.
Yeah, and like you wouldn't have animal kin because you're not a veterinarian. You're not a veterinary science like student. You're a med student. Like there's certain things. A cult, you wouldn't have occult knowledge. Like Now, somebody that worked at a curio shop or maybe like an oddity store or a bookstore, a librarian, they might have, a cult
Yep.
and an investigation. A police officer would have investigation and firearms, but it's the backstory really informs on what kind of character you make. So like, yeah, the things that you need,
Yep.
but it's much more fun to pick the things that you would know you would have because I mean, no metagaming,
Right.
but B, like the failures are just as fun as the successes, especially in a
Yeah.
game of Vampire.
Yeah. Your character flaws are what define you, not you're not like, oh well, I happen to be really good with firearms. Yeah, but like that's not what people really identify you as. They identify you for your quirks and your flaws and all of those things.
I mean, that's why people enjoy television shows like True Detective and Breaking Bad
Yep.
and all over the place. It's not because the characters are good at everything.
Exactly.
It's mostly because the characters are bad at one specific thing, and that's where the drama comes from.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
Let's see.
Anyone?
Also, I do agree with what your PC thinks about when they're alone.
That's a good one. Because I think a lot of people don't think about that aspect of their character. But it's like, why do they care about the things they care about? Because that's usually really important.
Yeah.
Does anyone who was watching who's not familiar with Vampire have any questions about any of the rules or any of the dice rolls or any of that stuff? Because we kind of just did all of those things because we both are experienced players. But I'd be happy to walk you through why I told him to roll, which stats I told him to roll, or how you make those decisions in game. What why he rolled 6 successes on a roll but still failed, sort of thing. Very, very happy to clarify any of those rules or the reasoning behind any of that. I think those elements of the game are just as important. But at the end of the day, go ahead.
That's why they have a whole section dedicated to it in the book.
Exactly.
Dice rolls. I think that's a whole big portion. Of the book.
Because like that when you have to incorporate elements like, sure, he had a really high willpower score and he rolled 6 successes, but that was to resist frenzy, which is when the beast, which is that inner nature of every kindred, the frenzy is when that beast takes over and you lose control. And when you're confronted with a fight or flight reflex caused by a priest wielding true faith, that is a very, very high difficulty to actually resist. So there's elements like that where it's like, no, he needed 7 successes. The first time the guy was on the other side of the room, he only needed 5. He rolled 5. Second time, nope, needed a little bit more. He's right up in front of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, feel free to drop any questions you have in chat. Be happy to answer those.
Let's see here.
And I do want to say, since I really appreciate all of the support tonight, I just wanted to throw a shout out to McStabber Studios. I believe you are going to be streaming Friday evening at 11 Eastern to talk about your style of storytelling, and I know that you did a stream on Saturday to do the story so far for your upcoming stream game, which is going to start this Saturday.
Excellent. Yeah.
So
and I think that's still on. I went back broadcast. I went back and watched that. I think it was yesterday. Yeah, went back just to see what it was all about. I'm very interested. Can't wait to see that. I love more stream games. I want more vampire streams.
Absolutely.
I have too many D&D streams and not enough vampire streams.
100%. And then just a shout out to Jaded and Pino Boy, who are members of the Near Dark Studios crew, who do a fantastic Chicago by Night stream on Monday nights. You should definitely check that out if you have not. Oh, and then
so very good, and they're on YouTube as well. You can watch all of them on YouTube.
You can watch all of them on YouTube, and they're really good. And I still need to catch up because I am behind.
Yeah, I think I'm behind an episode or two. I did like a marathon stream this past weekend.
Nice. I had to run my game this weekend and also do a bunch of real life stuff. So, oh, that's great. Fantastic. Well, if I need a list of more VTM streams. Well, I know that Onyx Path, who I believe they're streaming right now, I'll probably host them when we're done here, has a another Chicago by Night stream they do. I think it's run internally. And then obviously there's LA by Night. There's going to be Seattle by Night starting soon, which is run by the crew over at Penny Arcade, which is going to be pretty fantastic. And I'm pretty sure Jason Carl is involved. They haven't revealed that yet, but I think he might be the storyteller for it.
Yeah, I think he's been hinting at something involved with it.
And then
that bronze girl who's involved, she ran the Storytellers kit.
Yep.
Or the starter kit. Vampire the Masquerade thing for Geek and Sundry. It's very cool.
Nice. And then B. Dave Walters, Victor Temple from LA by Night, is starting a Long Beach by Night actual play soon. I'll see if I can pull up. I don't know what channel it's on. It's not on Geek and Sundry actually, but that's gonna be another good one to check out, Jonan.
I think it might be Melee Damage channel. I think if not his own.
No, they're sponsoring with someone else, like a crew.
Oh wow.
But I know.
Okay. Wow.
I know it's him, Melee, Sam, Tchaikovsky. Is going to be in it. And then there's 2 other people, and then I know that Josephine McAdam is going to be guesting on it sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yep. So yeah. If no one has any more questions, I think we'll call it for this evening. Again, thank you to everyone who tuned in. Really appreciate it. Huge thank you to the Shred Private Roberts for joining us and being my victim for the evening. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping us get to affiliate tonight. You're awesome. And we will be taking off this Thursday. We won't be streaming because I am traveling for my wedding anniversary. The B. Dave Walters Long Beach by Night stream is going to be on Q Times.
Q Times, okay.
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
And thank you, McStabber Studios, for shooting that over. Thank you, Relan. We're going to be taking this Thursday off, but we'll be back next Tuesday with some more vampire chatting. We'll be talking about storyteller tips and tricks, I believe. Make sure if you enjoyed tonight's session, go check out our website, www.gehennagaming.com, and go to the resources page. You can get the full scenario, some of the things that didn't happen in tonight's because of the decisions that were made, and some of the things we streamlined a little bit are in there. So I hope you enjoyed that. And I did remember the pronunciation of your name. I'm usually pretty good about that. Oh, congratulations. We got married in September because both of our birthdays are in October, so October was a good month to get married, McStabber Studios. Make sure if you want to get clued into more one-shots like this or potentially play in one, join our Discord. We are recruiting more members of the Gehenna Gaming community to be in more scenarios like this that we will be doing periodically. So thank you again, Shred Private Roberts. I appreciate it. Take care. I will talk to you later and tomorrow, I'm sure. And good night, everyone else.
Don't forget to hit that Threadless store and the Twitter.
And the Threadless store and the Twitter, and now the subscribe button.
Yes, yeah. Support Gehenna Gaming. Send it out to all the. It's great. It's awesome. They're spreading the love of storytelling and tabletop, and I could gush more, but I can do that later. But yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rabbit. That was excellent. I had so much fun tonight.
Thank you. I'm glad you did. All right, everyone. Take care and have a good night.